Welcome folks to the Morris Minor Owners Club, a Bristol branch YouTube channel where you will find how-to guides, tips, drive-outs and anything to celebrate all things Morris Minor. Hello folks, here we have Jenny's Minor Million Gladys, desperate for an oil change, and I thought whilst I was at it I'd have a go at filming it and hopefully capturing some of those sort of more difficult things that you need to do. Shock horror. I'm using a 19mm socket to undo the drain plug. I think it equates to 3/4 in old money. Once you've got the drain plug loosened, you can then undo it the rest of the way by hand. If you hold the sump plug into the sump so you can feel the threads bumping as you undo it, then it minimises the chance of getting oil all over you. You can also see I've got one of those drain cans that you lie flat, drain the oil, put the plug back into the drain can, and then yeah, so it's really useful. Okay, so give the sump a good clean around the sump plug area. Just gives you an indication if you've got some dribbles after you've done the job, in case you haven't done up the sump plug tight enough, etc. Surprising what you forget after you've got a few years under your belt. Sump washers, I recommend you use a new one each time. These are compression washers, I think 14mm inside diameter. There were 25 for £9. We've got a few cars, so for us it saves money buying them at bulk. Unfortunately, I can't find a torque setting for the sump bolt. Bit of a pain really, but there you go. Good job I've got a calibrated elbow. The filter bowl socket is 16mm, and I think that equates to 5/8 in old money. Once you've got the filter housing away from the car, it's always worth giving it a good clean. You can get pretty gunged up in there and it just makes sense. Give it a clean whilst you've got it on the bench. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you've watched and enjoyed a few of our videos, you clearly like them, maybe subscribe. Hit the bell icon and YouTube will notify you when the next video is available. So here we have the oil filter housing components laid out in order. There's a really good catalogue from Moss for the Morris Minor that actually gives you a good exploded view of what the filter housing should look like and the order of its components, and it's free. I think you order it online, hand over your email address or something like that, but it's well worth having it because in some instances it's way better than the Haynes manual. The other version of filter is the Purilator, and it's pretty similar to the one on Gladys, the Tecalmit. I think that said it right. The only slight difference is the washer, especially on the bottom of the filter bowl, is slightly different. But yeah, if you get one of those Moss catalogues, it makes it obvious. But very similar arrangement. It's probably worth having spare O-rings for the housing. They can get quite hard with age, and obviously if your O-rings are hard, then they're not going to seal that well. So it's worth having them in your toolbox just in case you take it apart and you think, oh crikey, that's like a piece of rock. For those of us with a few years under our belts and creaky knees, whilst you're down there, multitask. Bit of weeding. Smash in. Proper job. I'd like to say that other olive spreads are available. Okay, apologies for the poor filming. This is the top of the filter housing. There's a O-ring seal in there. They quite often get hard with age. They've been in there for a number of years. They can be a real swine to get out. A couple of very small screwdrivers to try and lever it out maybe, but you really ought to change it because the new one will obviously be nice and supple and come out easier next time. So persevere with it and try and get it out. I have actually seen some people cram two in there. Obviously some people have used the same one more than once, so yeah, try and change it. So here's an attempt to show you sort of on the bench, on the gravel floor on a piece of cardboard. Anyway, this is a purolator one, but as I say, they're very similar. But you can see it can be a pig to get that O-ring seal out. It also helps to put it on axle stands because you can get your head under there and have a look. But yeah, can't emphasize it enough. Try and change that seal. So here's a little tip for you. With the O-ring seal, obviously in the car, it'll be above your head. Gravity will keep dropping the O-ring seal down. So if you put a small dab of grease in a few points on the O-ring seal and then just put it up in the housing, the grease will hold it in place. Pearls I'm giving you here, pearls. When you purchase your filter, well, certainly from a known supplier in the southeast, you get two O-rings with the filter. It's the thinner one of the two. Having got the purolator out and got the helmet on the car, the same O-ring fits both. Okay, so you've got your nice clean filter housing. It's got all the components in it. As in the order I showed you earlier, and the filter of course. And then what you do is you offer it up, put a few threads into the top of the filter housing, and then you can actually push the filter housing up so it locates nicely in the groove, and then turn the bolt up those few remaining threads, and then you can go at it with your socket. By doing that, you minimize sort of displacing the O-ring seal. If you can't manage to hold it up in place, it's fine, it'll work anyway, but that's just an extra precaution. Some folks pre-charge the oil filter, i.e. they fill it up with oil before they bolt it back into place, but that can be a bit messy, especially if you sort of haven't got the strength to hold it all in place. The oil filter bolt should be done up to 16 foot-pounds. I've got a calibrated elbow, so unfortunate there. Before putting the oil in, double check to make sure you've put the drain bolt back in. Of course, I've never left it out, honest. Should take 6.5 pints of 20W50. That equates to about 3.7 litres. If you fill it up to the high mark, by the time it's filled up the filter, you'll be just about right. You can get classic oil, That's what you should be aiming for. Halfords, I think it's about 30 quid for about a gallon. But if you buy it online, you can get it 65, 70 quid for 4 gallons. So he pays you money, he takes your choice. Don't forget, after you've done a couple of miles, check the sump drain plug for leaks and the filter bowl for leaks, just as a precaution. And of course you can always bribe somebody in your local branch with tea and biscuits, and maybe they'll help you run through your first oil change for peace of mind. Anyway, yeah, happy motoring.